Emily Kingsley is an American writer of children's books. And she also wrote for Sesame Street. And she was instrumental in her day to include disabled children as part of the show, as part of that way they could see others. And that's probably because she herself had a Down syndrome child. And she wrote a parable called Welcome to Holland. And it's all over the internet. Lots of people know it if you've read it, but it's a great parable. If you want to Google it, you can find it, but it's Welcome to Holland. And it's about her experience of planning the birth of her baby. And especially when, she found out that she had a Down syndrome baby. And she said that it's like planning a trip to Italy. She says, you buy the guidebook, the map and the itinerary, and then you even learn a few Italian phrases. And then she says that finally the exciting day arrives, and you tag your bags, and you double-check the passport and the plane tickets, and you leave for the airport. And your flight is called, and you say goodbye to all your friends, and you board the plane, and then you take off. Right? And you settle back to enjoy the trip. A few hours later, the plane lands, and the stewardess says in a cheery voice, "Welcome to Holland." And she said, "Holland? I'm supposed to go to Italy. All my life I've been planning to go to Italy." And the flight attendant says, "I'm sorry, there has been a change of plans." You get off the plane in shock, get your bags, go through customs, and as you leave the airport, you can't believe what just happened. But she says, soon you begin to notice that Holland isn't a terrible place. It's just a different place. So you go to the hotel, you buy a guidebook, and you set out on a bus tour. You notice that Holland is less flashy, much slower paced than Italy. But it has tulips and quaint windmills, and even Rembrandt paintings. And then she says, in the days ahead, you meet people coming and going to Italy. And everybody raves about Italy. And for the rest of your life, you say, that's where I was supposed to go. That's where I always dreamed of going. And then there's the pain of the lost dream that never goes away. And then she concludes with, but if you spend the rest of your life regretting the lost dream, you will never enjoy the many lovely things Holland has to offer. Emily's parable fits with the words, I think, of today's gospel with Jesus, as he says, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains just a grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. If Emily Kingsley had spent the rest of her life regretting the loss of her dream and the family life that she wanted, that she thought she always was going to have, she never would have enjoyed the many lovely things Holland has to offer. Instead, like a grain of wheat that fell to the ground and died and bore much fruit, she had to let her dream fall to the ground and die. And as a result, it bore much fruit, not the least of which was to discover the many things that were in store for her in her new life. And I think it also allowed her to put into writing a beautiful parable that inspired many other people to accept the death of their own dreams, to die to self and our own wants in order for a greater life to grow. More importantly, it inspired people to get on with living the lives that they were given and discover the many great things that are to be experienced in life as it is. Chances are most all of us in here had beautiful dreams that have had to die sometime in our lives. For example, the dreams of doing great things, the dream of being successful, the dream of having a perfect marriage and a perfect family. As we get older, we thought that we would be somewhere else in our life at this time. And others would be in our life for some reason that now are gone. Maybe gone to God or gone somewhere else. And maybe the health of our loved one or even ourselves makes it impossible to do the things we thought we were going to do at this time in our life. But things don't always turn out the way we thought that they would. And psychologists, talk about a midlife crisis or a crisis of limits. When there comes a time in our lives when we become aware that our dreams are not going to be realized in the way we had hoped. And when this time comes, it becomes easy to blame other people for the loss of our own dreams, or to blame the bad breaks that we had that made it impossible to realize them. And living like this is like being or having a grain of wheat that refuses to die, so that we allow regret or anger or depression to take over our lives. And as a result, we never discover the many lovely things that Holland has to offer. Or to put it another way, the life that we have been given. And our reluctance to pick up the cross and follow Christ. When I was reflecting on my assignment here, when I came, I had so many great dreams and plans. I was ready to roll up my sleeves and just get to work. We had made all these plans, most especially for Lent a year ago. It was going to be the Lent like it used to be, with all these ideas. And as soon after, the pandemic hit and everything came to a screeching halt. And although I would never wish for a pandemic, it's absolutely true, nobody wants this. But as I look back at the year we just lived, and what we had to go through even as a parish and as the staff, I look back at some of the things that make me smile, like confessions in the window, or the parking lot masses, that we had with, and David, he just walked out, but he's over there, David Palazzolo, and doing the sound, and we had Josh here trying to do the music, and the wind's blowing, and people are honking their horns and waving at each other, and it was a good time in spite of that difficulty. And adoration in the parking lot, and everybody out there, the live streaming shows we were trying to do. We experienced a lot of great things in the midst of that, and we met a lot of great people. And along the way, had some fun doing it. I think of, as terrible as it is to have to check in names and people, we had to do, and we still have to do for the contact tracing that we've never used in the entire year after all those names. We got the plus side is we got to learn a lot of names. We got to know you in a way that we never would have known you if we just had been coming in. And so there are some great blessings in the midst of it all. And I see how much new life has come from the dreams that had to die first, for the new ideas, new experiences to emerge. So when we do not hold on to regret, but we pick up our cross and follow Christ, most especially, we discover something we never anticipated or never dreamed of. And maybe we thought it was going to be a heavy cross, and it turned out to be a great blessing, most especially because God promises that he would send a lot of people to help carry that cross. And so it didn't have to be as heavy. If we look around at what God also did in the midst of it all. There's a saying that goes like this, and it's an anonymous saying, so I don't know who said it. I can say with complete truthfulness that everything I have learned in this world, everything that has truly enhanced and enlightened my experience, has been through affliction. through difficulty. And of course, now I have to end the homily like I always, or whenever I get a chance and it matches, with a quote from The Lord of the Rings, right? And so we know Frodo, he's got the ring, he's got to go bring it and throw it down into Mordor. He's got to get down there. It's a difficult struggle, and of course he's there. And the ever famous line, if you've seen it, everybody knows it, is Frodo says, he's tired, and it's awful. You accepted it, and now he's got to live with it. He says, I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened. And of course, Gandalf, in his wisdom, says, so do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. So as we approach Holy Week and Palm Sunday, certainly next week, and we journey with Jesus to the cross, may we remember that we too are to follow him with our crosses that we bear, that we believe in the end will make us holy people. And when all is said and done, it will only matter how holy we became while we were here in the time we've been given.